today's project is going to be getting this truck started. So I looked at this about a year ago and just never really pursued it. And then I stopped out here last night. A year ago, I did check the oil on this. I have checked nothing else out. He said it's been parked for about 15 years. Judging by the tree growth, I would say that's probably pretty close to accurate. This is an International Transtar 2. So let's check this thing out real quick. Does have a sleeper. Pretty crusty in there. Looks like 2:01 on the clock. Engine start, but we don't have a key switch, so we'll have to investigate that. Transmission feels free. The throttle linkage is pretty stuck, so this is just a frame. It's a triple rail frame, I guess. There's no fifth wheel. I think this thing used to be a dump truck based on that mount right there, but I don't really know. I'm curious to see what engine is in here. I originally thought it was a Cummins, but then I got to looking around and I guess they put the 3306 cats in these. Get some of this insulation cleaned out of here. And I can't tell by looking at it. Maybe somebody can. I don't see any markings on it yet. I think this is the oil dipstick. Well, it's right at full and black, so that's good. Let's go see if we can open that passenger door. Tires are pretty sunk in the mud. Feel like somebody was living in here. This looks like a wiring diagram. Gross. Well, see the front of it. I think they're cool looking. Maybe nobody else does. That's okay. All right, I guess we'll start by clearing some of this brush away so we can kind of flip the cab forward. So let's get right to it. All right, back out here a few weeks later on this truck. I just tested the engine to see if it was rollover. My buddies were out here last night and we basically jerked it out of here this far with my dump truck. So I'll throw this bar on the engine so you can see it roll over.
So the engine rolls over good.
We did end up caging the one brake last night. The spring was broken on that one, so we just popped the canister off, so that's released. So I thought that the brakes were seized up last night, but it was in gear. My buddy said that the drive line wasn't moving, so it was kind of acting like the brakes were stuck or the linings were seized to the drums. But let's pull this thing a little bit and see what's going on back here. Moment of truth. Let's see if that thing will roll out of there. We got both front tires rolling, so that's good.
When I first got into towing, at a different company, they had these, and that was pretty much all they used to tow anything from the rear.
Yeah.
And when I came here to this company, I said something to the boss. I said, listen, you need to invest in these.
Right.
Well, what are they? So I got him all the specs and everything, and he ordered them, and that's the only thing we use now.
Yeah. So here we got the cab up. Not much to see. 855 Cummins. Let's try to get it running, I guess. We got it braced so it's safe. There's 4x4s here and over there. The motor mount on the other side actually broke lifting it up. The jacks were bad. Kind of unfortunate, but this truck is not ever going to be salvageable to where it can go down the road again. So this is just to see if this engine will run, and then I have plans for this engine. Oops. There's a look at the turbo, or the exhaust taken off, and the intake side. Looks pretty good. So we ended up having to pull the starter out and bench test that. We got it all back together. I think we're ready to bump this over the starter. Let's just try to roll it over before we add fuel. Super nervous. What?
At least the parking brake's on.
Is it? I feel like welding cable is not a great connection. That's even worse. Back out here a couple weeks later. Let's recap because I don't remember where we left off. We had tried to start this, but I didn't have enough battery power. I took all the cables off. I cleaned them all up with a grinder so they're nice shiny. Put an end on this, which, quick life hack, copper pipe is the same thing as a battery end. Just mash it down and drill a hole in it. Got 2 brand new truck batteries. So let's throw these batteries in and see if it'll fire up.
Remember that time you said you already Googled it and I found it immediately?
No.
That was funny.
And all of the batteries are wired, so this is still a 12-volt system with 4,000 cold cranking amps. Pretty much how it came from the factory. I also have the jump pack on it and the battery charger. I'm going to throw that over in a boost. Let's give this a try. Oh, she wants to chooch. You know what? Let's get something to put over the turbo in case that runs away, and then starting fluid. Woo! Heck yeah!
I fired right up.
Nice!
Dude, I sprayed a little in and it knocked
And it
up
was like,
one
ah!
times, and then I did more and it fired right up.
Heck yeah! No, I don't know what I'm doing and I don't know how to turn it off.
Well, I came over to start it, not stop it.
Was that ether? All right, let's was it putting any smoke out?
When it rolled it over after I sprayed the ether and it put some black smoke out.
It'll be white smoke. If there's white smoke, then it's getting fuel. Ready?
Yeah.
Is that you?
Yeah, I sprayed it a couple of times trying to encourage it.
So I don't have a ton of confidence that this fuel filter is letting fuel pass by, so I'm gonna crack the return. If this is bleeding fuel, we'll know we're getting fuel through the system. Okay, ready? Okay, so I'm not seeing any fuel coming out of here, and I believe that's the return. I guess you can correct me if I'm wrong. So let's change this filter, I think. There was fuel in it.
Water and all kinds of stuff.
That's pretty scuzzy diesel, so let's try something else here. I got this fuel filter off of another project. Let's see if it'll work. Yeah. Nope. Doesn't seal. tried. My uncle just gave me this auxiliary. Oh man, it's clean in there. See if we can rig this up for a auxiliary fuel tank. So I reinstalled that filter for a second. I want to crank the engine and see if that filter fills up. I installed it empty. I want to see if we're pulling prime from the tank, because the tank line comes off the bottom. There's no pump, so I'm assuming this must be some kind of pump. I just want to make sure it's working. Now we'll take this off. And there's a lot of water in it. I don't know if that's from the pan or... Yeah, so I don't think it's pulling prime. So we're gonna put up a temporary fuel system. Salvaging a bunch of stuff from the pipe parts drawer, we're able to make the connections. And when something doesn't feel like it's the right size, you just add some more Teflon. Take up the space.
Get nervous when people watch.
We have temporary fuel rigged up here. I have this pump put in line. I don't know if I need it. I think that there's a mechanical pump on that injector, but I just use this to prime the whole system, and it'll pull fuel through there if there is a pump on that injection pump. So I think we're ready to start it. Now what do? I let go of everything, and then I'm gonna hit the throttle. This shuts it down. Man, that scared the crap out of me. I thought it did not shut down. She runs! Heck yeah, brother! See? That's the proof of concept. So I guess the plan, if I haven't already mentioned it, is this engine is going in that dump truck, and we just wanted to make sure it runs. What is going to happen next with this cab is probably going to make a lot of people mad, but this truck will never safely go down the road without, thousands of dollars. The brakes are all locked up. The rear rims are rusted, probably pretty close to through. The rear springs are all broke. The air canisters are shot. The cab, an animal was living in and used just as a bathroom. It would not be feasible to restore this truck. And as cool as the cab over is, it's an International. It doesn't have the cool factor that I would need to put the money in this. If it was a Peterbilt or a Freightliner, Kenworth, it'd be a different story. But yeah, so. modern truck, 5 grand, no tire kickers. Never been abused. It's got a misfire, that's all that is. Plan here is to take this engine out and put that engine in this truck. This is a 534 gas big block, I believe, and it was running extremely underpowered, and now it's knocking. So at best this engine's junk. That 855 big cam Cummins runs good, and I would like to repower this with a diesel. I think it'll be a cool project. We're gonna jump right into this. I don't know where this video will end up. This is one of the biggest projects I've ever taken on. I just gonna do my best, and hopefully it comes out all right. It's not, I don't know of anybody who's taken an 855 Cummins out of a 80s cab over International and put it into a 70s Ford dump truck. So I don't know, hope you guys enjoy this. Let me know in the comments what you think, and let's get right into it.
Family gather around.
I have everything disconnected now, so all the radiator lines, the distributor, the starter, the air compressor, taped up all the fittings so that to try to make sure water doesn't get in there. Pulled the power steering lines off, all the wires that were running up top. So now we just got to unbolt it from the transmission, unbolt the motor mounts, and allegedly it will lift out. The transmission is now unbolted. The next thing to do is to unbolt the motor mounts. Everything is disconnected. The exhaust is taken off. The engine mounts are removed, which are right here. The transmission is completely unbolted. So in theory, we should be able to hook the skid steer to this, lift it up out of the truck. and the motor's gone. Ow! We got the transmission ready to come out. Let's pull it right now. Getting ready to pull that last box. That was a nice soft landing, so there's absolutely no damage done to this thing. The next step of this project, unfortunately, is we have to take this cab off. I don't have a way to take this cab off and save it. So I'm pretty much left with the option of just flopping it off. That's the last thing I ever want to do to this. But I just want to reiterate, this truck would never have gone down the road. The cab is in pretty rough shape and would have taken thousands of dollars to ever recondition. So as much as I hate to do this, for the greater good of the project, we'll say it's got to happen. I don't know if I can even show this on camera. Goes against everything I believe in. Okay. Let's clean this up. There is the front of the engine. So we have two motor mounts here, two in the back, and probably some wires and hoses and stuff, and that motor should come right out of there. And we just moved this to the closer side of the shop, so it's a little bit easier to work on. I guess the next step is putting the engine in. And now we're ready to slide the transmission in. We'll probably reuse this U-joint. I mean, you know, it's easily got, this one's just a little stiff, but easily got another 300,000 left in this one. So somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is the reverse switch. It's seized in there. I've tried getting it out with the wrenches, but the sides are all stripped off. So let's see if we can, these things never work, but let's see if we can get it out. Holy crap. I can't believe that worked. My concern is that water was getting in there, but I guess it could be getting down through here. Let me see if I can find a plug that'll fit this, and then I'll Teflon tape it up. Just load it up with Teflon. In theory, this keeps the water out. These bolt holes go right down in the transmission, so I'm gonna throw some Teflon on them. They probably would never leak, but just to be sure. Probably what would be better for this is maybe actual pipe dope, or you could put the right stuff on here, certainly. Transmission is in the frame. That's really difficult. Usually I got my buddy here to help, and it makes that a lot easier, but we got it in. So the reason we're putting the transmission in the frame first is so we can bring the engine around and mesh the two together and then slide everything back. Because there's no concrete and this is a full-size truck, trying to get a jack that would lift that not only efficiently but safely, put it onto the truck, lift it into place, and then monkey around trying to mesh a 600-pound transmission to a 1,400-pound engine in frame is just not an ideal situation. So we are going to bring that engine around here, mesh it on where we can easily access everything and move it around, and then we'll slide everything back as a unit. The only issue is that this frame is a touch wider than the other one, and I am concerned that this could fall, so I'm going to secure this in here for the time being. I'm pretty much ready to set the engine, but before I do, I'd hate to do all that work to get it in and then find out the clutch doesn't release from the flywheel. So I'm going to go and pull this clutch out and make sure it's clean and free, and then we'll put it back together. I put the tarp there so if in case this thing falls, it doesn't fall in the dirt.
Another plate.
Another disc. Since you can see the reflection in the flywheel, I'd say that's pretty good. So in order to get that clutch discs lined up and get the transmission in, you have to have a clutch alignment tool. Well, I don't have one, but I do have a welder, a 22mm socket, and this old drive shaft that came out of the old drive line from that Ford truck. It happens to be the exact same spline and size as the transmission input shaft on the new transmission. So I will make my own clutch alignment tool, and hopefully this works. There is the clutch alignment tool. Let's go try it out. Nice. Man, I'm so glad that worked. That had me nervous for a minute. And now I feel a lot better about putting that back together, knowing that that clutch is freed up and is going to work fine. Well, proof of concept, man. I'm super excited to see this thing lined up in the front of the truck. Like, imagine that stuffed up in there. This is gonna be so cool. I have the transmission rigged up to a second chain fall so we can kind of pick up the back end of that. Let's give this a go. We're in. It's obviously not lined up, but it is in. So now we have to kind of lift and tweak things a little bit to get that lined up and slid together, but we're almost there. Yes! Yes! Got it. So we'll put the bolts in all the way around, and then this transmission will be back mounted to the engine. Transmission is bolted together completely, and that whole unit is sitting on those blocks right there. It is a little bit supported with this. This is tight, but it's not really bearing any weight. As you can see, if we try to wiggle the engine, there's a little bit of weight on there, not too much. I'm gonna air the truck up and basically roll the truck underneath the engine and see if maybe that works. Just kind of trying stuff at this point. Sure we don't have any keys. All right, the engine is pretty much in the frame. It does have to go back probably close to 18 inches. It will end up cutting into the firewall there. But I think this video has gotten super long. I think we're gonna end it here and pick back up on the next video. So there's gonna be a part 2 to this. I'm kind of ending for the day here because I'm going out on a rescue mission. My buddy found another truck out in the weeds that needs to be saved from the scrapyard, so we're gonna go grab that. I know this was a long video, but if you watched all the way to the end, or to this point at least, I really appreciate it. These projects are just a ton of fun to share, and I hope you guys enjoy watching them as much as I enjoy putting them together and putting the videos together. So thanks for watching, everybody.